Good morning. We got a warm up for you. We're going to sing about God's love being deep within us. God's love is deep within me, ever satisfying my soul. God's love is deep within me, ever satisfying my soul. God's light is deep within me, ever satisfying my soul. God's light is deep within me, ever satisfying my soul. God's peace is deep within me, ever satisfying my soul. God's peace is deep within me, ever satisfying my soul. God's love is deep within me, ever satisfying my soul. God's love is deep within me, ever satisfying my soul. Ever satisfying my soul. Good morning and welcome to Unity of Walnut Creek. We got a new song for you to go with our theme today for Lent called Take a Break. So I'm going to sing a line, and so you can learn it. I'll sing a line, you repeat it. You follow these guys, all right? Here we go. Take a break, I'm gonna let it go.
Take a break, I'm gonna let it go.
Get rid of all of that so-and-so.
Get rid of all that so-and-so.
Strip away what isn't me.
Strip away what isn't me.
Get back to my divinity.
Get back to my divinity.
All is well, let it go.
All is well, let it go.
Take a break. All together.
Take a break, I'm gonna let it go. Get rid of all of that so-and-so.
Stand up.
Strip away what isn't me. Get back to my divinity. All is well, let it go. Take a break.
Listen to a new part, you ready? Feels fine.
Feels fine
To realign.
to realign.
Everybody, all is well.
Let it go. Take a break.
Back to the top.
Take a break, I'm gonna let it go. Get rid of all of that so-and-so. Strip away what isn't me. Get back to my divinity. All is well, let it go. Take a break. Oh, feels fine to realign. Everybody, all is well, let it go. Take a break. Take a break, I'm gonna let it go. Get rid of all of that so-and-so. Strip away what isn't me. Get back to my divinity. All is well, let it go. Take a break.
All is well. Again.
All is well, let it go. Take a break.
You sounded great.
Good morning, Unity of Walnut Creek. Good morning. You guys are beautiful, just absolutely beautiful. Welcome, 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 and thank you to our musicians. Hey, we had Keith, Ciel, Lisa, Annie, David, Dan, and Max. You guys are wonderful. Did I miss the name? Yes! It doesn't happen often. That's why they said something. Thank you. And we have a very special guest today. And Donnie is back with us. And we are so glad to have you. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Linda Stevens, and it's my joy and my honor to be a part of your service this morning. Thank you so much for being here today, and we hope you come back every Sunday and come to the classes and become a part of this ministry. Unity is a positive path for spiritual living. Our mission at Unity is, in a loving community, we empower spiritual growth by modeling and teaching universal spiritual principles. I invite you to join me now to affirm our statement of faith. Together, there is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. Now, if you're comfortable, I'd like for you to close your eyes and sink down into that place where you in spirit come together. So once again, there is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. Thank you. So now is the time that we get to honor anybody here who's for the very first time. So if you're new to Unity or you've been gone a while and you've come back and you would like to, if you'd raise your hands, we have a packet of information for you. Our ushers will bring it around. So higher just a little bit. Oh, there's two. Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome. We're so glad to have you with us. Now, if you'll take that packet and to the bookstore, we have another gift for you. And there's a connection card inside of that. And if you'll fill it out and let us know that you're here, we'd love to know that you're here, please. Now, if you didn't raise your hand, that's okay. You can go back to the welcome table or back to the bookstore and pick up your packet. Now, there's a connection card in the seat pocket in front of you for everybody else. If you'll please sign it today, let us know you're here. If you have any questions or concerns, please let us know on those connection cards. And if you do have a question, someone from our staff will call you back during the week. Now it's time. And I already said that. Now it's time. Sometimes you have to remember, right? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Now it's time for you to stand up and tell your neighbors good morning. Thank you.
Down in my soul,
I hear the music.
I hear the music.
Down in my soul.
Down in my soul,
I hear the music.
I hear the music.
Down in my soul.
Down in my soul, and the whole wide world is my home.
I got a new day.
I got a new day.
Down in my soul.
Down in my soul,
I got a new day.
I got a my soul, and the whole wide world is my home.
Now we're going to get a little softer. I love the silence.
I got the silence
Down in my soul.
down in my soul.
I love the silence.
I love the silence
Down in my soul.
down in my soul.
I love the silence.
I love the silence
Down in my soul.
down in my soul.
All together.
And the whole wide world
Is my home. We're only together on this. Feel the power. I feel the power.
I feel the
Together. Down in my soul. All together on this one. I feel the power. Down in my soul. I feel the power. Down in my soul. And the whole wide world is my home. And the whole wide world. And the whole wide world is my home. Oh, yeah. Beautiful. That was a song from Jan Garrett and J.D. Martin, and they are wonderful singers and songwriters who are coming here to do a music workshop and to sing, and you're going to hear more about that when Zoe does announcements.
Hi everyone. Good morning. I'm Zoe and I'm going to tell you some announcements. First of all, it's birthday Sunday. So if your birthday is in March, please stand up so we can honor you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear friends. Happy birthday to you. All right. Next Sunday is daylight savings, so be sure to spring forward by setting your clock forward 1 hour. The Board of Trustees invites you to our community gathering next Sunday. We will discuss intentions for the year and updates on our financial well-being and facilities. Bring your questions and ideas about all aspects of our community. If you would like to discover and sustain passion in your life, join us March 18th for Sunday services and an afternoon workshop with Greg Lavoie. Greg will help us claim our rightful inheritance of vitality. Join nationally known New Thought artists Jan Garrett and J.D. Martin for a spiritual singing workshop called The Heart of Harmony. Stay tuned. On Saturday, March 24th. Through singing, they will give us tools to create harmony in all aspects of our life. Participants will be invited to sing with Janet and JD during the Sunday service, following the workshop. This is for singers and non-singers alike. Save $10 by purchasing your ticket in advance on the patio. Now, Reverend Kristin, would you please come up?
It's a green light. I've got the green light. So I want to tell you about Unity Basics class, which starts this Thursday for 3 consecutive Thursdays. If you want to brush up on your foundational understanding of Unity, or if you're new to Unity, you have come at the right and perfect time. So we invite you to join in so you can learn a little bit about our principles and our history. It's based on the book, The 5 Principles by Ellen Davenport. Excuse me. They say when you cough, some truth wants to come out. So, I invite you graciously to join us starting this Thursday. What is that truth? Okay, there we go. At 7 o'clock, right here in the sanctuary. So see you then.
And for details on these and other activities, please take a close look at today's bulletin. Thank you.
David? David Peterson is our prayer chaplain that's sharing his own original poetry with us to begin our meditation time.
Standing in the Need of Prayer, John P. Key. The Spirit cries, tries, reaches up, forwards, becomes enlightened, receptive, intuitive, grabs a hold of any vessel, belief. Every love equals freedom. Every love equals freedom, including the mature higher thoughts, yes, including the omnipresent whale, or the supernatural soil, or the fruit. Accept, receive, believe again, rise above all this, become illuminated before you honk your horn. Replace the negative. Fill it with love.
When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God.
And so we meet right there in that deep place within the heart. We meet the very presence of God. In that place is brilliant light. A sense of remembering, coming home. When I pray, I go deeper, deeper into my God, deeper into my truth, deeper into the light. Imagine, if you will, that your heart is a bowl filled with light. And that light moves in and out of the bowl easily and effortlessly. As you give into the world, the light refills. And yet every so often there may be some thought, some forgetfulness of who we are. Some limiting idea, some untruth. And every time one of those thoughts comes along, it's as if a stone falls into that bowl of light. Just blocking the light a little bit more. And so our work is to remove each stone as we notice it coming in. Each resentment or idea of not being good enough in some way. For here in the presence of God, where we have met God in the depth of our prayers, we know that we are nothing but light. And so we open ourselves like a divine chalice, an open bowl of light. Quickly noticing anything that blocks the light, allowing it to dissolve in the light of God's love. There in that open bowl of light, there is a delightful presence, a divine Cupid. And out from the bowl shoots the arrows of divine love. In any direction, wherever we wish to share from the depth of our prayers this brilliant, radiant light, we send it out into the world with perfect aim. And in so doing, we remind others that they too have a divine bowl of light within their own hearts. We become in this way like God, bringers and givers of the light and the love. And so we rest now in the silence, recognizing the light that we are. this deep place of prayer, this meeting of my God and me. I recognize that I am one with this light. And I open myself to be filled, infilled, so that I may easily and effortlessly radiate the light upon the earth to bring God into manifestation. Thank you, Spirit, for this time of prayer to illuminate the truth of who I am.
When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my chasing anything? What do I do if I've got everything that I need? It's a question that no one's prepared me to answer. Where do I go if I'm right where I'm supposed to be? Where do I go if wherever I am home? It's a question I'm presently wanting to answer. If the usual way doesn't work for me now, it's a void I know nothing about. What if the race is over and we all automatically win? What if the game is ended long before it even begins? What if the test has been taken and we're all passing again and again? If the race is over, what then? What do I say if it's all perfect anyway? What do I say if I'm not here to change anyone? It's a question I truly don't know how to answer. And how do I live if my life is eternity? How do I live if I'm no longer afraid to die? It's a mystery, no one can give me an answer. If the usual way doesn't work anymore, there's no map for what life has in store. And what if the race is over and we all automatically win? What if the game is ended long before it even begins? And what if the test has been taken and we're all passing again and again? If the race is over, what then? And What is the purpose of time here on earth? And how do I now define my death and birth? For that matter, what is my life really worth in the end? And what's mine to give and what's mine to receive? Whom do I worship? What do I believe? Seems like the answer comes right back to me in the end. What if the race is over and we all automatically win? What if the game is ended long before it even begins? And what if the test has been taken and we're all passing again and again? If the race is over and we're all born victorious, if the race is over, what then? Thank you.
Woo-wee. You nailed it. Wow. Isn't that nice? What if the race is over? What a relief, huh? Yeah. You know, Daniel Nahmad wrote that song when he was on a sabbatical. He went to the desert, to the Red Rocks of Utah, and spent an extensive period of time alone. And he wrote a whole album that's all about, that came out of that, out of the emptiness. Out of the emptiness came that fullness, that, wow, yeah, I can relax. Turns out I'm divine, it's true. Turns out Spirit's got this. And I don't have to be in the race. Yeah. So emptiness, when we come to that place, as Daniel Nahmad did, we realize is actually fullness. Less is actually more. How could it be, you might ask? Well, let's see. I've been reading a little Dr. Seuss with Grace lately, so there will be rhyming couplets occasionally. So in the meditation, we had an image of a bowl of light, and actually that comes from a Hawaiian story about children. And the Hawaiian story is that when children come into the world, they are like a bowl of light. Another way of understanding who we are in truth, right? And so the children are in truth that oneness, right? And we know that too, right? We see that, we experience that with infants, that sense of I'm still one. You know, I don't remember what the date or the time is in our development when we start to differentiate with our mothers, but there's a long period of time where we're just one. We're just in the oneness, right? We don't even know that there's a me until one day we suddenly look at a hand or a foot and go, oh, wait, is that, what? Look, we're separate, you know? So it's that beginning of two-ness. It's the beginning of understanding ourselves as two. So in this bowl of light that the Hawaiian children are taught that they are, there is the story that if a child then, as they grow, become envious or jealous, a stone gets put into that bowl of light. And so every time there are those kinds of experiences, more stones get put into the bowl of light. Well, eventually, of course, as you might imagine, the light can't get through anymore, right? And in the story, the children are told that eventually, if you let that bowl fill with stones, there will be no light. In fact, you will become like a stone. You won't be able to grow. You won't be able to move. But the magic to you as the stone is that if you realize that you don't want to be this and you want to be filled with light again, all you got to do is empty the bowl. And there you are again, returned to your original state. So when we come in this oneness as this bowl of receptive light and radiating light, then, it's as I said, the differentiation begins at some point, and we begin to be introduced to the material world, the world of form, the world of me and not me, and boundaries of this that we think is a boundary, right? But we learn on the spiritual path not so much. But we're learning to be, we're learning to develop an ego, which we need a healthy ego to be a healthy human divine being on the earth. And so we're learning the world of contrast. Suddenly we get introduced to things like hot and cold, or dark and light, or male and female, all these differences, these contrasts that we get introduced to. And so as we get introduced to those things, and our human teachers, our adult teachers, teach us the best they can, right? Everybody does the best they can with what they have. But of course, in that process, we get taught some things that aren't so true about us, that don't have anything to do with that bowl of light and that oneness that we are comprised of. And so what Charles Fillmore, our co-founder, would call error thoughts get introduced. We begin to think of ourselves differently, as less than or better than. We begin to think of ourselves as maybe not enough, or we have, like in the Hawaiian story, jealous or envious thoughts, resentments or complaints, discomforts that become complaints. And so those stones then start to fill up, right? And so our work then is to let it go, is to begin to open it up, begin to release. So to let go and to return to the land of the soul, to return to that bowl of light that we are, is our key. But how? How do we get there? Well, there's a scriptural story that points the way. There's a man who has a son who, in the description in the Bible, it sounds like what we would call epilepsy today. He has seizures, he foams at the mouth, he rolls about, sometimes he rolls near the fire. And he can't speak while he's in this state. And so it's presumed maybe he can't hear too. And so a man comes to get some healing, and he comes to the disciples, and Jesus is busy up on the mountaintop being transfigured at that moment. And so he had something to do that day. And so the other disciples, who have been taught to do the healing work and are very successful at it, brought this young boy. And so they try to heal him, but nothing's working. And so Jesus comes down, and he has taken with him Peter, James, and John, who metaphysically represent faith, love, and wisdom. Always a good idea to take faith, love, and wisdom with you wherever you go, especially when you've got something big on your agenda for the day. And so Jesus and the three come back, and the man, and there's lots of commotion, and he says, well, what's going on? And the man tells his story, about the son, and, your disciples tried to heal him, and he wasn't able to be healed. And he says, could you try if you're able? And Jesus says, if I'm able, he's just come down from the mountaintop with like the radiating, truth of spirit. And so he's in that place, I know who I am. And so the man, he says to the man, you must believe. And the man says, and I just, this moment, I can almost feel like I'm there whenever I read this or hear this again. It just gets me at the cellular level. The man cries out, I believe, help me with my unbelief. And it's like, I get it. I've got the faith. I know I came in with that. I understand that. What I don't get is how to get rid of the doubts, how to get rid of the stuff that's in the way. Help me with that. And so Jesus does. He sees, it says in the scriptures next, always interesting, some of these lines, that a crowd came running forth. So he looks up and he sees a crowd coming running together. And that's when he does the healing, and he casts out the unclean spirit. And he says, and the words are strong, so I want to quote it. He says, "You spirit that keeps this boy from speaking and hearing, I command you out of him, and never again to enter him." And of course, then the boy is healed. And he helps him up, and everybody is, of course, astounded, because their unbeliefs have been laid down. And what is there can arise. The light and the truth and the knowing and the faith and the strength is there for them to see. And so then the disciples in private say to him, "How come we couldn't do it? How come we couldn't do that healing?" I mean, because they're performing lots of healings. They're trying to understand, what is it that I missed in the teachings that I wasn't able to do this one? None of us were. And Jesus says something very interesting that points the way to where we're headed here. He says, this kind can only be cast out by prayer and fasting. It's like there's a level, there's an understanding that there is a greater depth to the journey. And that journey, when we get to that point, is about unlearning. It's about letting go. It's about shedding and stripping away what has been collected along the way that is blocking the light. And so that is the invitation, and we're right on target with Lenten season. This Lenten season, which is, I think, something that was, it came through the Orthodox Church as a practice, but it's a wonderful practice. In the Lenten season, the practice is about fasting and prayer, about the practices of fasting and prayer. And traditionally, that's fasting from food, which certainly you can do and will enhance your experience if you compare it with consciousness. If you just fast from food, you might lose weight and be on a diet, and it may have some physical benefits for you. But if you don't have consciousness about it, then it doesn't have the spiritual component of the fast. But the consciousness then, if you do choose to do a fast from food, the consciousness then with it will tell you what's going on. Sometimes you might, a lot of times what happens is that, for me anyway, is the surface level stuff comes up for me to see. So the stuff just below the surface comes to the surface is what I mean. And so, if I'm mildly irritated lately, I will be mildly irritated throughout the time I'm fasting. Or if if my energy has been like bing, 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 it'll be kind of like that, So whatever it is that's happening for you, sometimes it's just, calm and clear, But you don't have to fast from food to practice fasting. It's just letting go of what's in the way, right? So fasting from negativity is really what it's about. That's the spiritual aspect of it. It's a letting go of the unbelief. It's a letting go of the doubts. It's a letting go of all the stones that are in the bowl. Taking them out one by one, the resentments, the complaints, the criticisms, the defensiveness, whatever it is that stands in the way between you and your God and you in meeting God everywhere you go. So it is the stripping away that is the experience that we're on. Fasting then about untruths, or as Charles Fillmore would call it, error thinking. And not focusing on what isn't working anymore. So when we begin to subtract the not me and the not true, that's when we kind of turn the corner on the spiritual journey. So it may be at the beginning of our journey we learn about abundance, and it's about sort of the goodies and the add-ons and the what I'm creating, and that's still part of our journey, very much a part of our journey. It's our teachings about co-creating and bringing forward, becoming, setting our eyes on what it is that we want to become and becoming that. But when we get a little further in the journey, we start to learn what all the mystics have always known, is that actually it's not about adding anymore. It's about subtracting. Meister Eckhart, the great mystic, said soul growth is a process not of addition, but of subtraction. It is the stripping away. And a lot of people don't know that in our roots of following the teachings of Jesus, which some would call Christianity, that the roots of that there's a plethora of mystics in our roots. You know, Meister Eckhart being one of them, who was in the Dominican order, but the desert mothers and fathers, the very early folks that would go out into the desert, to those barren places, so that they too could get open to the truth of who they are, to remove that which might stand in the way, to become like the desert, fully open, exposed, and willing, and then to receive the glory that comes with a recognition of who we really are. So we have that in the traditions, the mystics of all traditions, kind of meeting in this place of understanding that it isn't so much about adding knowledge or wisdom, or it's already there. That's how we came in. We came in oneness. We came in light. We came in love. We understood this innately when we came into the world as an infant. And we had to learn the world of two-ness. We had to learn the world of duality because we are now in the world of form. That was the great challenge that we were created for, so that God could know itself. How will I know myself if I'm just one? If I'm just, a fish swimming in the ocean that has no idea I'm in water? How will I know till I get out of the water? You get on land and experience that. And so here we are. Here we are. And we come to a place where we say, what if the race is over? What if I don't have to add one more thing? What if I'm perfect and whole just as I am? Then what is in my way? That belief that says I'm not good enough, or that thing that I internalize that isn't true. And I realize now, and I forgive and let go, because the adults in my life treated me and taught me as best they could. It's not theirs, it's mine. And so I remove it. The children learn to remove the stones themselves. Nobody says in that story that teaches the young children in Hawaii, Mommy and Daddy will come and remove the stones. Even if Mommy and Daddy contributed the stones, they're yours. And so it is our spiritual work to let go. To let go, let go, let go, let go, strip away, and then go, wow. Thank you, God, for the truth and the light and the love that I am. And that never is an egoic kind of realization. It is the humblest of realizations when we get to that place and we recognize the truth of who we are. Yeah? Are you with me? So in the fasting, what are we fasting from? These limited thoughts. We're going to quit complaining. That's what we're going to quit doing. There was a man who was very unhappy with his life. It's one of those things where wherever you go, there you are, And so he was a complainer, right? Who loves a complainer, right? We all flock to complainers, right? And so this man decided, I'm going to go into the monastery, and maybe I can, find happiness there. I'll figure out what this is that makes me so unhappy. And so he decides, I'm going to take a vow of silence. And the other monks agree with him that after his first year that he can speak, or on the anniversary if he stays more years, every time he stays for a full year, he can speak 2 words to break the silence. And then he starts over again. He agrees. He thinks it's a great idea. So on the anniversary, the first year, he says, cold floor. A whole nother year passes. Hard bed. Yet another year, bad food. On the 4th year, I quit. And the head monk or the head abbot says, well, great, because all you've done since you've been here is complain. We are funny little beings, aren't we? It's an unconscious habit, you know? It can be unconscious until it's conscious, and that's when things move. But until we're conscious of the ways that we complain, we can't really move on. Until we become conscious of what we're doing and how it's affecting us. I think that's probably the key. It's not just what we're doing, because we'll just keep doing what we're doing until we realize how it limits us, how it keeps us small, how it doesn't allow us to know the truth and the glory of who we are and who we've come to be, and what our real mission is on this planet. You know, really, in simple form, it really is just to have God know itself. And so if you get clearer and clearer on that, then you give that great gift back to Spirit for it to know itself as you and through you. In Chinese, the word for complaint comes from two symbols. It is the hug and the ego. And so when you put it together, it means hugging your ego. To complain is hugging your ego. And you can see now how if you're hugging your ego, you know, you're blocking. There's some kind of block of the divine. We just get so filled up, and especially in our culture in the West, we are so much we love information and knowledge, don't we? We love to work the brain and to expand our knowledge base, and that is a fun part of life. And yet it can get to be too much. It can be so much that, you know, our heads are too big for our bodies after a while, you know. There's an old story about a professor from the West who goes to the East to meet with a Zen master. And the professor is thrilled that he has this ability, this opportunity to meet with this Zen master. And so he comes in and he's seated, and then the Zen master comes in and he says, "Would you like a cup of tea?" The professor doesn't really like tea, but he thinks, well, it's probably the right thing to do to say yes. You know, he doesn't want to offend the master. He wants to gain some wisdom from him. He wants some pearls to take back home. And so he's hoping he won't pour him very much. But the master begins to pour tea, and he fills the cup, and he keeps filling and filling. And the professor's getting very nervous, you know, and he's kind of holding up his hands, and the Zen master just keeps pouring. He's thinking, is something wrong? Is he not seeing what's going on? You know, he's trying to make sense of it. And it starts overflowing in the cup into the saucer. And then the professor, you know, starts, you know, starting to stand up a bit, you know, and it pours over the saucer and onto the table. And then it begins to drip on the floor. And the professor finally stands up and he says, "Stop." And the Zen master says, "Oh, yes." He says, "You see, a mind that is already full can receive no wisdom." And so it is the emptying, the letting go, the no-thing, the returning again and again to, I know that I don't know, or I don't know that I don't know. You know, the real openness, that kind of place. Sometimes we complain because we have another need, right? Sometimes we complain because we're trying to make some kind of connection, or, you know, as Brene Brown talked about in our last series, we're trying to hotwire connection, she says. And we do that in ways where we might, you know, gossip with somebody. We might, hey, did you know about so-and-so? Because it maybe will create some kind of, oh, so so-and-so's, you're in the know, you know. So we think somehow that's going to get us in or make a connection somehow, or it's going to gain us some kind of approval. Or we might do that in other ways, you know, where what she talks about, common enemy intimacy, where we get together in groups, and so together we are, you know, we've got the idea, or we're right, and what about them, you know, and so now we're banded together. But she says that's not real intimacy, this idea of common enemy intimacy, or trying to hotwire these connections. That's not the real thing, right? And so that kind of thing is complaining, that kind of gossiping, but to know then why we're doing it sometimes is helpful, to know that there is some other need, and then we can, you know, see how we can meet that need instead of complaining and adding negativity into the world and into our bowl of light. So Maya Angelou also weighed in on this. She says that if you don't like something, change it. And if you can't change it, change your attitude. Don't complain, she said. Complaining, she said, lets the bullies know that a victim is in the neighborhood. I never thought about it that way. I really like it. Because you know what happens when everybody finds out that there's a victim in the neighborhood, at least the bullies find out, you know, they kind of band together, right? And then they go and you know, harass that individual who appears weaker. And so she's saying complaining makes you appear weak, right? Like you can't fix it yourself. You can't, not fix it, but you can't take responsibility, right? The ability to respond. The ability to respond to the situation. So it communicates to people that you're not able to kind of take care of yourself. You're not coming from that place of strength and light, in other words. And so when bullies come together like that, that gang, that crowd, metaphysically it's kind of like the crowd of thoughts, right? And so that's, I think, what that line was at the beginning of the story when Jesus was about to heal the boy. And it was almost like when this line comes and he says, the crowd began to run together. And then it's like he hurried up, quick, cast the spirit out. It's like the crowd, in metaphysics of the Bible, people are thoughts and feelings. And so the crowd is the crowd of thoughts and feelings, right? It's that energy of I start complaining or I start gossiping and it begins to, you know, there's a crescendo effect, right? Or there's other people that are coming in. There's sort of that ganging up kind of effect that happens inside the mind. And so those thoughts and feelings that say you're not good enough start to look for evidence that you're not good enough. And you'll find it if you're looking that hard, right? Not that it's truth, but you'll find it, and so you can add to it. You know, or somebody says, well, I'm not very smart. And so you find all kinds of evidence in the world to prove to you that you're not very smart, you know. So Jesus feels it coming. He sees it coming. He sees it in the crowd around him. And the people and the thoughts, when the man cries out, help my unbelief, he realizes, oh, here comes a crowd of unbelief. I better cast this out now. And that's the same kind of urgency with which we have when we have those moments of awakening. When we turn the corner on our spiritual journey from addition into subtraction, when we go back to our mystical roots, we come to that place, that turning point, that place where we begin to recognize and realize, it's now, I got to cast it out. I got to help my unbelief. I got to let go the doubt, the resentment, the burden, the complaint, the gossip, whatever it is, the sarcasm. Cast it out so I can be the truth of who I am, the bowl of light from which I came into this world. So Lent is a powerful time. If we really practice it, we begin, if we haven't yet, to turn that corner, to recognize the power of subtraction, of letting go, of surrendering, of giving over, of laying at the feet of Spirit, so to speak, which is just within us, right? Just within reach. Groucho Marx. I almost reversed his name. That was interesting. Groucho Marx said, now there's a man with an open mind. I can feel the breeze from here. Sort of true, though, isn't it? When you come in the presence of somebody who's really open, who's really, you know, in that place of openness and open-mindedness and willing just to be the very presence, there's like a fresh breeze. It's like, oh, how refreshing to be in that presence. I remember once getting to meet Eckhart Tolle at Unity Village. And, you know, at that time it was like, ooh, well, I still kind of feel that, like, wow, Eckhart Tolle, you know. So I was sitting in the front row, and he comes in that I didn't know, but he was coming to the stage. But all of a sudden, I feel this, like, whoosh, swoosh of energy. And I turn around, and he's walking by. It was that kind of breeze, and I was so amazed because it happened again later. I was at a reception, and again, my back was turned, and suddenly I felt that breeze, that energy, that presence, and I turned around, and there he was again. You know, and for each of us, it might come to us in different ways for different people, and for ourselves then, we can be the fresh breeze That's the point here, right? We can be the open mind. We can be the open heart. We can be the open soul. In fact, it is who we have come to be. Nothing has to be added, only subtracted for us to know that truth. So, getting to what we're about here today is prayer and fasting. How do we do it? In unity, prayer, affirmative prayer, includes an important piece not to leave out. So if a prayer chaplain is praying with you and they realize you're in a lot of fear or a lot of worry and you're praying for a new job, they're going to first help you release and address the fear. Because if you don't address that, the good can't come forward, right? And so statements like, this fear has no power over you. Any worry that you're feeling right now is now dissolved in the light of God's love. For we know in truth that you go forth to meet the right and perfect position that will fulfill you and prosper you in every way. That's the affirmation. But you see how important the release is? It's so important to meet the thing that stands in our way and to remove that boulder so that the light can come forth. So affirmative prayer, statements of release, can be very helpful to us in this work. And it's a nice companion with the fasting from negativity and complaining. So when you came in, you may have received a bracelet. If you didn't receive a bracelet, would you raise your hand? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, there's 2? Okay. Here you go. If staff are here, if you would share your bracelet, I'll get you another one. Nice work, Jabari. No, just staff, unless you really don't want one. If just staff will give theirs away, I promise I'll get staff some more. Did everybody get one then? That's here? There's one more. No, 2 more. 3 more. Here they come. Thank you, generous beings. Okay, if you want one, I want to make sure you get one. So this is a tool for our 21 days to become complaint-free. Will Bowen was in ministerial school with me. He was a year behind me. And he was really touched by Edwene Gaines' work in prosperity when she talks about not complaining. So much so that it's become his whole life's work. And he began a movement called the Complaint-Free World. And his vision was that 10 million people would have these bracelets, and not that it has to be these bracelets, any bracelet, but they would take on this practice, this 21-day practice of becoming complaint-free. And his goal at 6 million, he presented one to Maya Angelou, and that, of course, increased. And then at one point he was at Oprah, and of course that increased them. So they have hit and gone beyond their 10 million goal. So this is the kind of, new thought infusion in the world, right? Going complaint-free. So this is how it works. So you put the bracelet on one wrist, and remember where you start. If you want a reminder, left, right, you can start with left. And so when you catch yourself complaining, which is criticizing, being sarcastic, complaining in general, whining, you move the bracelet to the other wrist. The other piece that's important is to keep track of what day you're on. So if you moved it and you got to start over, then you're on day 1 again, okay? And then you complain again, you got to start over. But if you don't complain that day, you get to leave it on the wrist, so you need to know that you're on day 2. So record it somewhere so that you'll remember what day you're on. The goal is to get to 21 days. This is a lot harder than you think it might be. Yes. The average person complains 15 to 30 times a day. So there may be a lot of this, even in a day, And so, I know that Reverend David, when he did this before, I was told by some people, if you're still around and you had that experience, that he had you do it when even a thought, that is way too advanced for me. So So we're just starting with a spoken complaint, okay? If it comes out of your mouth, then you have to start over. If you get through 21 days like that, then you can challenge yourself to do the thinking part. But for now, we're just going to go with the spoken. And so, so the other thing to remember is not to police one another. For all of you who live with one another, for those of us who work together, we're not going to be bracelet cops. So if you do point out to somebody, then you have to change it. And don't be clever. I left that one off in the first service, and someone came up to me with a clever idea, and I said, okay, I better put it in the second service. He said, well, I'm just going to wear a bracelet on both wrists. And I said, don't be, yeah, it's always day one. There you go. That's one way to interpret that. And the funny thing is, another person at the 9 o'clock service told me that when the bracelets were being passed out, he's like, oh, rubber bracelets? I hate rubber bracelets. Try not to complain right out of the box. So this is our work. Fasting and prayer. Fasting from complaining. See if you can go 21 days. It's 28 days between now and Easter. So I'm not saying we won't go beyond Easter, because, you know, when Will Bowen did this, it took him 6 months the first time. So, you know, it's a practice, but it's a practice of removing stones so that we can be the bowl of light that we came to be. It's the practice of spiritual subtraction so that we can be the truth and the light and shine that into the world. So let's affirm that together as we close out today. Together. I am a complaint-free bowl of light. And that's the truth of who you are. Bless you.
Well, did you notice she didn't ask you to raise your hand and promise to do this? I guess everything is a choice, but I think it'll be fun to do this. And can you imagine where we can be in 21 or 41 or whatever many days? It'll all be good. So please join in with this. Oh, now it's time. As we come back together, our prayer chaplains are available after the service to provide personal prayer support. If you're a prayer chaplain serving today, would you please stand? That way you can know who's here and available. Bobby's in the back, and we've got several prayer chaplains here. So if you would like that very special experience of personal prayer support, please see one of them. Now it's time for our prosperity celebration. Thank you. Yes. Now let's open our hearts and the consciousness of giving as the universal law of circulation. As we give, so shall we receive. Because in truth, there is no lack or limitation. Abundance is already our true nature. So I invite you to take your tithes and your love offering in your hand and repeat with me our blessing. Divine love, one with me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am joy-filled and grateful. Thank you, and thank you for being here.
Song by Jan Garrett and J.D. Martin.
I'm going to surprise you with the topic of this song. You'll catch on real fast. I got no complaints whatsoever. I got no complaints whatsoever. I got no complaints whatsoever. And a new day is dawning in my soul. Everybody. I got no complaints whatsoever. I got no complaints whatsoever. I got no complaints whatsoever. And a new day is dawning in my soul. And a new day is dawning in my soul. Believe it or not, I ain't lying. And I'm not trying to cover up the facts. I've been down, been betrayed, I've been broken open, till I gave up that struggle at last. Now I can see all the ways that I've been gifted, and the wisdom that has brought me to this place. Through the twists and the turns, I have finally come to learn to trust this amazing kind of grace. I got no complaints whatsoever. I got no complaints whatsoever. Stand on up, let's anchor this in. No complaints whatsoever. And a new day is dawning in my soul. And a new day is dawning in my soul. The high road is surprisingly easy. Forgiveness shows up without a fight. Through the ups and the downs, I see beauty all around. 'Cause I'd rather be grateful than right. I got no complaints whatsoever. I got no complaints whatsoever. I got no complaints whatsoever. And a new day is dawning in my soul. And a new day is dawning in my soul. I got no regrets.
No regrets.
And I'm seriously blessed.
Seriously blessed.
I got peace of mind.
Peace of mind.
All the time.
All the time.
I got no complaints whatsoever. I got no complaints whatsoever. I got no complaints whatsoever. And a new day is dawning in my soul. And a new day is dawning in my soul. I got no complaints whatsoever. I got no complaints whatsoever. I got no complaints whatsoever. And a new day is dawning in my soul. And a new day is dawning in my soul. Here we go. I got no regrets. And I'm seriously blessed. And a new day is dawning in my soul. All right. We are on our way.
Let's bless this abundance, giving thanks that we have no complaints whatsoever. And these symbols here are symbols of the light that shines. These symbols of abundance give forth the good through us and as us into the world. Thank you, God. Let's speak the affirmation together to bless our offering. Together, we give thanks for the ever-increasing, unceasing flow of absolute good in our lives now. So it is. And here comes some more blessings. Come on in, kids.
We are more
with us today? No? Went from breakdance and center stage. You want to say something? Did you all talk about being complaint free?
We did. We talked about letting go of gossiping or talking about other people, and they have their purple bracelets, and they're acknowledging to state their truth and not complaining.
Nice. We are too. Well, let's bless our teachers and youth and children. Together. Children, youth, and teachers, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divine light within you. So we invite you, if you'd like, to take a neighbor's hand and to close out with our prayer of protection and peace song. Together, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God ever present. Family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect Let this be the moment You are the light and the love and the peace on earth right now. So let your light shine and have fun.